Hi, welcome to Paige Grows Design. Today I have a fabric painting project. It is Donut You Want a Donut on a little toddler's chambray shirt. I finished the back and I'm going to show you how to paint the donuts and do your embroidery on the front of the jacket. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I did the embroidery. So I used this air and water soluble ink pen. I'm going to place a donut right here. So I'm going to let this text run down around the corner. Take some DMC thread, embroidery thread, and start just like you were writing in cursive. Start where you would start writing. And it is better to put this in a hoop, otherwise you'll get some distortion in your fabric. I'm just going to show you really quickly. You're going to tuck down underneath and do tiny little catches so that your stitch underneath is going to be much smaller than the stitch on the top. I'm going to do a fairly healthy stitch on the top. And that's really all there is to it. If you get a little distorted like there, simply come back and take out your thread. And start over. Now to make these, I'm using Arteza light gold, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, deep brown, and espresso brown to paint the body of the donut. And we're going to stamp them using my gel press and compressed cellulose sponges. And we're going to stamp the body of the donut onto the shirt, and then we're going to glaze them with the 3D. And the one on the back, I used this rose gold, sort of iridescent. And the cellulose sponges, if you've never used them to stamp before, I would suggest testing on another piece of fabric first. You're going to draw your donut, and I'll put patterns of my donuts on my website, Paige Grows Design, and then you can just copy them. But you'll draw on the cellulose sponge with a pencil, cut them out with scissors, and you're going to, this one I used the other day, and they are reusable. And you're just going to submerge them in water Now when they're compressed, you drop them in and they expand, which I think is fun. It's a good kids project actually. But the thing you want to do if you've not done this before is you want to squeeze enough of the moisture out of the sponge that it doesn't bleed when you press it onto the shirt, but moist enough that it creates, it blends the paint nicely when you're stamping. I'm going to use my gel press, and to do the sort of standard raised donut, I squeezed onto my gel press some light gold, some burnt sienna. I'm doing it in a special order here. The light gold's in the middle. I wanted to mix with this yellow ochre and the burnt sienna, and it will help sort of give the paint some iridescence and help it pop off the fabric. But I'm putting the burnt sienna on the bottom because to give the donut shape, you want that shadow on the bottom. Now I'm gonna roll this out. You will want to mix it. A little bit more light gold. Got a little too much burnt sienna on there. And it can be fairly thick. Okay, so right where that division is, I'm going to use this cellulose sponge stamp, and I'm going to grab some of that dark. So the bottom portion of this, get some of that deep brown. You want to load this up. Might take several times to get it really nice and loaded. It's still not loaded enough with paint yet. Okay, so to get it loaded, I went ahead and sopped that up, but I'm going to put some more light gold and that yellow ochre down. And if you want, you can actually use your brayer. You're going to want to make sure that you either have something underneath this that will keep the paint from seeping onto your work surface, or be on a work surface that you can easily wipe off the paint. So let's see. We want this at a bit of an angle. Now the thinner part of the donut's going to be at the top. The thicker part's going to be at the bottom, and when you go to put the icing on, this is what it's going to look like. That's why we need this thicker part here, because you're going to see the underside of the donut underneath the icing. You're just going to set that down and press firmly enough to transfer that paint. There you go. Don't be concerned that with the little little air pockets from the donut. We're going to let that dry just slightly, and then we're going to go in with light gold and a stencil brush. And we're just going to scrub in some light gold. Now, if you wash out your cellulose sponges, like I said, you can keep reusing them. I'm going to go and switch this around here. And I'm going to stick a donut in the opposite side pocket, just as if someone shoved a little donut down in the pocket. And I think this one I'm going to make chocolate. I'm not going to clean off the gel press. I'm going to add some burnt sienna, some espresso brown, and pearl deep brown. And the pearl colors really do sort of pop off the fabric more. And this one you're going to load differently because it's a top view, not a side view of the donut. We're going to make it as dark as possible, so all you see is a really dark edge and ice just around the middle. This might be a little tricky. Slip down in this pocket. And if you find yourself in this position, you can always just cut the cellulose sponge and not put it down in the pocket. I am going to attempt this. There's chocolate donut. The other donut should be dry enough now. Back in. Ah, there. That's what you need to be careful of. Now you're going to take just some light gold. Now you'll let that dry. And the reason why you're going to let it dry is when you put that 3D paint on, we're going to use a palette knife or these clay tools to spread the 3D paint around, sort of like you're icing a cake. And you don't want any of the paint underneath it to either bleed in and blend or bleed out onto your shirt. Okay, I ended up using a hair dryer, help speed up the process, and donut bodies are dry. And while I was waiting for that to dry, I decided, I think I'm gonna put pink icing on the chocolate donut and chocolate icing on the raised donut. And to do that, you're gonna use the raised or a 3D paint, Arteza. And the chocolate donut, we're gonna wanna leave a little bit of this edge, just sort of skim across the top. And the one that I did on the back, I used this palette knife, and it wasn't as comfortable spreading it around because of this flat edge. And so I'm going to use this clay shaper, and just going to squeeze enough on. And it really is like icing donuts or cake. Now to the other side. This side, this is where this bottom portion you are going to ice. Right here, and these are the sides of the donut. You're going to ice there. This is the icing. Go back to my old method of using this palette knife. That actually helps. picking it up and putting your hand underneath. Much easier. Now we're just going to let that dry. Okay, I let the 3D paint completely dry, and I finished the embroidering. And now all that's left to be done is to put the sprinkles on the donuts. We are at the last stage. We're going to put the sprinkles on the donuts, and pretty straightforward. Just going to make small lines with the 3D paint. The only thing that I suggest you do is start them on paper towel, piece of paper, or something first. You want to make sure that the paint is clear down into this tip and that there's no air in there. Otherwise, it will blurt out and make a disgusting blob on your donut. And you can practice trying to get an even flow. And you're just gonna randomly place those sprinkles on your donut. Your sprinkles can overlap. Just be careful to raise the tip and let the paint fall over the other sprinkle. I just did exactly what I told you not to do. I didn't test it first on the paper, and there was air at the end. You should be able to lift it off just like I did with a long needle. Now into the chocolate donut. I think that I actually put in a few too many sprinkles, and so what I'm going to do to compensate for that is go in with the same color, the burnt umber, that I iced it with, and put in some burnt umber sprinkles, and it'll make some of that distraction disappear. And I think we're finished.